Hey guys, we're still working on Unit 4, Test Review. Now we're starting with problem number 11. Which equation shows direct variation? Remember in our notes we talked about direct variation. This means proportional. And if I'm talking about an equation that's proportional, that follows y equals mx. So when I look here, I have y equals mx. That follows my equation. This one here, we have y equals, and remember there is a coefficient in front of this x. The coefficient is the number 1. It's just understood to be there. So here we have y equals mx plus b. I don't want a plus b. And again, y equals mx plus b. Don't want a plus b because we're looking for proportional. Y equals mx. So your answer is A. All right, number 12. Which line has a positive slope and a positive y-intercept? All right, so we're looking for positive slope. If I'm looking for positive slope, remember I'm looking for a line that is moving upwards from left to right. All right, so looking here, B is moving upwards from left to right. C is moving upwards from left to right. So I can go ahead and mark off A because notice A is coming down from left to right. So A is no good. All right, the next thing we're looking at is it has to have a positive y-intercept. Remember, y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, this axis here. Okay, I want a positive y-intercept, so this means I need it to go above the origin. Here's my origin. I'm looking for a point that is above the origin. All right, we've already canceled out line A, so I'm not looking at line A. Okay, this means I want this point here. This point down here is below the origin, so I don't want that one. So line B fits both things up here that we're looking for, a positive slope and a positive y-intercept. So line B is your answer. All right, problem number 13. On number 13 it says, what are the rate of change and the y-intercept of the line shown in the graph above? So remember your rate of change, that is the same thing as saying m, your slope. And when we have a graph, in order to find slope, then we're talking about rise over run. Okay, now when I'm looking for rise over run, I'm looking for points that cross at a perfect intersection. So here they already give me 1 point. This point is also known as your y-intercept. All right, this is your y-axis. So that's y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So that's my y-intercept. It crosses at -4. So I can go ahead and answer this question here. -4. Remember your y-intercept is your b. Okay, so now we want to find my slope, my rise over my run. So I'm going to find another intersection that crosses perfectly. I could stop here, or I can keep on going. I could go here. I could keep on going here. So it doesn't really matter which points you pick up as long as they're a perfect intersection, because all that you're going to have is fractions that can be reduced, and then they'll be equivalent. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take this point here. Now, when I'm looking at my graph, okay, here we are counting by -1, -2, -3, -4, so we're counting by ones. All right, here we are counting by 2s on the x scale, so pay attention to how you are counting. All right, so I'm going to be rising up, and I'm going to be running back. That's also important. If I'm rising up, well, that's a positive. But if I'm running back, then that's a negative. So therefore, I know that my slope, my rate of change, is going to be negative. All right, so let's count this. I'm going to be rising 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to put +4. All right, and remember, your x-axis is counting by 2s. Okay, so now I've got to keep that in mind. I'm counting 2, 4, 6, 8. And since it was going backwards or to the left, then that's a -8. So +4 divided by -8, we have to reduce this, and this will give me a -1/2 for my slope. Now, I know it didn't tell us to, but we're going to take it one step further. Okay, we're going to go ahead and build the equation y equals mx plus b. So my y equals, I found my m slope to be -1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in for my m. So -1/2. My x is my variable that stays the same. All right, we have a plus b However, my b, my y-intercept, was a -4. So I could write this plus -4, or we could go ahead and simplify it to just say -4, or -4 for your y-intercept. So this would be the equation that represents that line. All right, number 14. On number 14, it says, what is the slope of each line? All right, so looking at line A, what do you notice about this line? It is moving upwards from left to right. So I know that line A had better be a positive slope. When I look at line B, I notice that it's coming downwards from left to right. So I know that this had better be a negative slope. I always go ahead and look for that, just so I don't forget the little negative sign. Because sometimes you get in a rush and you forget. And that's okay. But if you'll go ahead and do it at the beginning, then you'll have it there. All right, so looking at line A, I need to find my slope. Remember, your slope is M, which represents the rise over the run. Okay, so on line A, I need to find 2 good points. Again, it doesn't matter which points you pick as long as they're on the line, okay, and as long as they cross at a perfect intersection. I can pick this point here at my origin. I can pick this point here. Or I could have picked a point up here. Okay, as long as they're on the same line, they're going to have the same slope. All right, so looking at line A, we're talking about rise over run. So I'm going to go from this point to this point. All right, so I would rise up, run over. So up and to the right is a positive movement. Okay, but you need to check your scale. My X scale is counting by 1s. Okay, but your Y scale is counting by 3s. So every movement that you move on the Y-axis, it's actually a movement of 3. So here, starting at my origin, I count up 3. So for my rise, it is 3. I'm going to count over 1 because my X scale is going by 1. So for my run, it is 1. So 3 divided by 1 is 3. So the slope of line A is equal to 3. Looking at line B, again, you can pick any point on the line. All right, I'm going to pick here because it crosses at a perfect intersection. And let's see, I'm going to pick here. Looks like it crosses at a good intersection. All right. So we're going to rise and run. Create your triangle there. All right. So when I rise and I run, so from here, again, remember, your Y-axis is counting by 3s. So when I rise, that's 3, 6, 9. I rise by 9. All right, and I'm going to move backwards, okay, or to the left, 1. So that's my -1. So 9 divided by a -1 creates a -9. That is my slope for line B.